Yo, this video is titled Why Sasuke's Mangekyou Sharingan Was So Weak. Now, let me say something real quick. Yo, I never considered Sasuke's Sharingan to be weak. I don't know, like what's so weak about it? I don't remember. I haven't watched Naruto Shippuden in a while. Shippuden, but I had a brain fart for a second. Fuck. Let's just watch.
I've seen a lot of people saying that Sasuke shouldn't have gotten Inferno style, that his secondary Mangekyou Sharingan ability should have been something else. Amaterasu's fine, but Inferno style is just not very creative and also weak, so why don't you give Sasuke something interesting? And I completely disagree with that.
That scared the shit out of me, actually. What the fuck? What is this kind of image, bro? Where's this from? Hey, somebody let me know where this shit is from. That scared the fuck out of me.
Inferno style had the potential to be one of the coolest, most intriguing abilities in the Naruto series. Unfortunately, it wasn't written that way. So today let's talk about why Inferno style feels so lackluster in the Naruto story, why Sasuke uses it relatively little, and how you could have improved this jutsu, which had amazing potential. So the first thing we have to understand here is that Amaterasu was sort of nerfed. And I'm not talking about Inferno style here, I'm just talking about the regular shot of Amaterasu that we've seen a few times. Because before Sasuke got the Amaterasu, the dark flames were said to be the strongest fire in the verse, hotter than the sun. And a lot of people say, oh my god, these data book statements are garbage. How can it be hotter than the sun? It makes no sense, which is actually not true. You see, the sun has different temperatures depending on the region, but the surface of the sun is about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Celsius, which obviously is hot, but we as humans can create things that are much hotter in the real world. Now, if you say it's the core of the sun, that's going to be a different story because it's 15 million degrees Celsius.
Is there even a way we can comprehend that kind of temperature?
So yeah, it would be a little bit too much. But you know, back when only Itachi had the jutsu, Amaterasu used to be this amazing one-shot technique. It got Itachi out of Jiraiya's Toad's stomach, which was said to be impossible to escape. And it was so powerful that the Amaterasu flames literally extinguished other flames when Sasuke and Itachi were clashing their fireballs. The problem is, when Sasuke gets the jutsu gets weaker, which does make sense from a writing standpoint. After all, Sasuke has way more screen time than Itachi. When Itachi shows the Amaterasu technique on screen, it's gonna be something special. And because he doesn't have as much screen time, you can certainly spare more special moments for Amaterasu that way, but Sasuke, because he has so many fights, so many different moments, and he has Amaterasu now, that means, well, technically, if Amaterasu keeps on being this extremely powerful jutsu, then Sasuke will become too overpowered, and it will be very difficult for you to ride around him. So now, all of a sudden, even though Sasuke hits Amaterasu in that samurai in the 5 Kage Summit, for example, his armor tanks the dark flames. Even in the final fight against Naruto in the...
Oh, I never even realized that. Huh? Wait, so Amaterasu can be blocked by an armor, or am I? Let me hear him out real quick, because I think I'm jumping to conclusions real quick.
Naruto manages
because I think Itachi could have destroyed him with his Amaterasu, but maybe let's see this. Maybe there's a difference between their Amaterasus.
Tank and Amaterasu shot with a simple QB cloak, not a truth-seeking orb shield, nothing of the sort, just a regular chakra cloak. And if you look at it from Kishimoto's perspective, it does make a little bit of sense, even though I don't like this decision, because if Sasuke was one-shotting everybody with Amaterasu, then what's the point, right? It wouldn't make for...
This is like saying Kakashi could one-shot everyone with his Kamui. Ain't that the same shit?
A very interesting story. However, there are ways for you to write around that, which doesn't really involve making the jutsu extremely weak. But think about this for a second. If the regular Amaterasu was nerfed when Sasuke got it, then imagine a jutsu that allows Sasuke to control the Amaterasu flames, which are extremely powerful. That would just make him so powerful it's broken. So obviously you have to make it a little bit lackluster. Maybe Sasuke doesn't use it that often, but there are so many moments in which Sasuke should have used the Amaterasu flame control that it's kind of ridiculous. But before we get to those, we have to sort of explain why Inferno-style flame control is such a powerful ability, because some people may think that, why do you need that if you have regular Amaterasu? Because the Amaterasu flames literally spawn at the targets. So shooting the Amaterasu flames from the point you're standing towards your target is obviously going to be slower, which is true. Amaterasu spawns at where you're looking at. We see that, for example, in the fight between Sasuke and the Raikage. He used a regular Amaterasu against the Raikage, and the Amaterasu flames ignited where the Raikage was standing just before he moved away. He managed to dodge because he's really fast. But the Raikage got out of there before the fire spawned, if that makes sense. Otherwise, he would have been hit. The same thing goes for when Itachi was chasing Sasuke with his Amaterasu in their final fight. Sasuke managed to avoid the flames for a little bit. They spawned right behind him until Itachi caught him with his gaze. We can also see the flames spawning at Naruto in the Valley of the End fight, at Jubito when they were fighting against him, and Jubito uses the Truth-Seeking Orb staff to block it, which, I get it, that makes sense because the Truth-Seeking Orbs are extremely powerful. They should be able to block something like Amaterasu. I'm fine with that. So what's the advantage of you controlling the Dark Flames if they can just spawn at the target? That's much more effective, right? The databook says that Amaterasu is a short-range jutsu. Now, obviously, it's not that short range.
Wait, so you can't snipe somebody? Imagine, bro. Imagine. Let's just picture this. Okay, you're a ninja doing your thing, right? And you have Itachi on a fucking like mountain or something like that, miles away. And he's just, looking across the landscape. He happens to see your ass. Amaterasu! Ah, you're like 1,000 miles away. Wouldn't that be crazy? That's a crazy ability. I think it would be just awesome if Kakashi could do the same with his Kamui. But then you would never have the story Naruto. The fucking anime would be called Kakashi at this point. Let's keep it real.
It's not a melee attack. However, because of that, it's implied that you can't really spawn the Dark Flames very far away. Every time a character uses a base Amaterasu looking at something and igniting that thing with Dark Flames, that thing is not terribly far. I guess the furthest one was the Eight-Tails when Sasuke shot it with Amaterasu, and the Eight-Tails was dashing at Sasuke and Team Taka, so it wasn't that far away to begin with. Say like, 20 meters, maybe 30 meters? So because of that, it's very much implied that the regular Amaterasu shot has a limited range. You cannot simply look at the moon, for example, and ignite it into Dark Flames. Even though you can look straight at it, the Amaterasu flames wouldn't simply spawn at the moon. And the same thing would apply to long distances in the battlefield, obviously. The moon's a hyperbolic example. And we can see that if you spawn the Amaterasu flames at your target, but your target dodges out of the way, the Amaterasu flames, they spawn there, however, they travel forward until they hit something. This happened in the Raikage fight, when the Raikage dodged it, and the Amaterasu flames traveled from where they spawned until they hit a samurai, and also in the Itachi vs Sasuke fight, when Sasuke was running away from the Amaterasu flames were spawning behind Sasuke, and then traveling forward until they hit the tree lines close to the Uchiha hideout. But we need to take a look at things happening in the Warg, for example, when Sasuke was using his Inferno style, against, say, the Ten-Tails, for example. The Ten-Tails is this massive thing, right? And we know that massive things do terrible against Amaterasu because they're a very easy target for you to look at and spawn your flames. So why didn't Sasuke just spam Amaterasu and kill the Ten-Tails very easily by engulfing it completely? Well, it's because the Ten-Tails was, for the most part, really far away.
Hey.
That's why Sasuke summons Aoga.
Welcome to
and
the
has to
stream. Welcome to the stream. What's going on with you?
There until he gets close enough to it, but it's not even enough because he has to shoot an Amaterasu arrow, which
Audio gut, Mikrofon gut, Kamera gut, sag mir.
travels a pretty long distance. And yes, he was fusing that arrow with Naruto's massive wind-style Rasen Shuriken to make a very powerful attack, but they shot that from very far away, beyond the range of his Amaterasu. The same thing applies to when Sasuke was fighting alongside Naruto and Sakura against those Ten-Tails mini-clones, and he was essentially using an Amaterasu sword and shooting beams of Amaterasu at them. So Inferno style will allow you to shoot your Amaterasu Dark Flames further than the spawn range, and also will allow them to travel faster than the Amaterasu would if he was spawned at an empty place and just kept on traveling. But that's not the only advantage you'd have. Obviously, you can do much more things with flame control. Sasuke uses it as a shield against the Raikage, for example, and being able to shape the dark flames, flames that once they touch you, they burn you until you turn into...
This should most definitely be one of the most OP abilities ever. honestly, can't you just like make your what's it called? The fucking Susanoo, right? You can create your Susanoo and then cover it in one large Amaterasu, or like a sword with Amaterasu, something similar to that. That would be OP as hell.
Ash is going to be very powerful. So let's take a look at Sasuke using his Amaterasu and especially his flame control over the series. And let's take a look at how Kishimoto tried to make Amaterasu fit in when it comes to it being too overpowered and how characters tended to counter it. The first big Amaterasu scene we get is Sasuke versus the A-Tails, and he one-shots the A-Tails with it. Which makes sense, the A-Tails is a massive thing, which is terrible to fight against Amaterasu. And he uses flame control to kill the Amaterasu flames and capture Killer Bee, even though Bee managed to use the substitution and not die. That's the first time we see Sasuke using Inferno style, even though he doesn't call it by the name. And it makes complete sense, and obviously this is probably the most impressive usage of Amaterasu Sasuke ever shows. I mean, he literally one-shotted the second strongest tail beast, so... Moving on to the 5 Kage Summit, he starts using it to block the Raikage's
Oh, Naruto, Sasuke got smacked up in this fight, bro. The Raikage's design is so badass. Name one character that looks and behaves more badass than the Raikage. Let me know.
attacks, as I mentioned, and the Raikage sacrifices his arm to punch Sasuke through the ribcage. Now that punch didn't kill Sasuke or anything because he had the ribcage, and Sasuke even coalesces a more powerful shield around him once he's on the ground and the Raikage is coming down at him. It's implied that they were both gonna kill each other if Gaara hadn't interrupted them, and honestly, I'm pretty okay with how Sasuke was used in the 5 Kage Summit when he cast Amaterasu and used flame control. He was fighting against the fastest ninja alive at that point. If there's anybody that's going to dodge Amaterasu, that's going to be him, and the way he came up with of using a further shield to enhance his defenses and essentially make sure that the Raikage couldn't attack him without getting damage was very clever. That's great usage of Inferno style. And also because this is MS Sasuke, he doesn't have his Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan yet, so he can't really spam Inferno style too much. Obviously, this becomes a bigger problem later on when he gets the EMS, so there's no reason for him to be sparing his eyes. Oh, I can't use Inferno style here because I'm gonna get too tired. No. When Gaara arrives, Sasuke shoots Amaterasu at him, and Gaara-san blocks it, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. Now, Gaara-san is sort of weird when it comes to its speed because it blocked the Raikage, for example, just a few pages before, but sometimes it feels that it's kind of slow, and blocking Amaterasu is just very impressive, but okay. I can sort of buy Gaara countering Amaterasu, right? But Sasuke doesn't really fight Gaara, he just breaks the columns and runs to the 5 Kage Summit room because Gaara wasn't really what he was after. And then
I need to rewatch this fight. This was one of the best, like, appearances in all of Naruto when Sasuke pulled up to the 5 Kage Summit.
Next time Sasuke uses Amaterasu is against Danzo, and I'm fine with Danzo surviving that because he has Izanagi. He can literally survive any powerful attack that he gets hit with. And the way Sasuke uses and hits Danzo with Amaterasu there is exactly how you would expect Amaterasu to work in most fights if Danzo hadn't used Izanagi, because Sasuke looks at him, the Amaterasu flames spawn at Danzo, and he dies. That's it! So the way Kishimoto went about countering this is pretty good because, as I said, Izanagi is gonna counter literally any powerful physical attack. And after that is when Sasuke gets the Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan by getting Itachi's eyes implanted on his sockets. And also when the issues with Inferno style begin to arise more dramatically. Because it starts to feel like Sasuke is using Inferno style more as a support jutsu and not really it is his main thing, even though it should be his main thing.
Absolutely.
Sure, the first time we see EMS Sasuke when he kills the original White Zetsu, his Susanoo is literally holding an Amaterasu sword, which is great, right? The Susanoo is a massive, powerful jutsu, a humanoid that can fight for you and protect you at the same time, and the Susanoo sword by itself, just the regular chakra sword, is going to be powerful, but if you use an Amaterasu sword, that sword is not just going to do damage when you slash or thrust with it. No, it's also going to burn whatever it touches to a cinder. It has a lot of reach. Sasuke could, in theory, extend the sword because he can control the dark flames to his will, and Sasuke also never uses this again. He never uses an Amaterasu Susanoo sword ever again in the whole series.
But
the only
why?
time he uses an Amaterasu sword again is when he's fighting against the Ten Tails mini clones, but that's not a Susanoo Amaterasu sword.
Wait, so there is an Amaterasu sword, but then why doesn't he use it? That's crazy. You gotta be stupid. Honestly, all of you people saying that Sasuke is smart, he's honestly a dumb dude. for not using all of his abilities like this.
It's just a regular Amaterasu sword, which is good too, but the Susanoo Amaterasu sword could be so helpful in many situations, which I'm gonna
Or
get
maybe
to.
it just
And
causes
like,
too much
okay, the
chakra.
only time you use it is against the most fodder character you ever fought in your life, White Zetsu. Okay, and then Sasuke encounters this platoon of White Zetsus and uses his Susanoo, and then he uses Amaterasu Magatamas, which are just like regular Magatamas but made of dark flames, which makes it so much more powerful. And he never really uses that again either, but at least he uses the Amaterasu Flame Arrow for a few instances, which feels like should be much faster than just a regular Magatama, but still, it's kind of frustrating when you just see Sasuke using these cool looking jutsus against White Zetsus. Now, when it comes to the Itachi and Sasuke versus Kabuto fight, he doesn't use Amaterasu a whole lot.
I need to, like, if y'all want me to rewatch Naruto, I'm totally down. Because I don't remember half of these fights, bro.
He uses his Amaterasu to destroy Kidomaru's webs.
It's gonna be like a new experience.
Kabuto uses against him and Itachi, which, don't get me wrong, that's a pretty cool looking scene, but that's it, right? He doesn't do much more with Amaterasu at all, and that's what I was talking about. His Inferno style became this support ability, essentially. And yeah, it does make sense. Sasuke doesn't want to use Amaterasu directly on Kabuto because he cannot kill Kabuto because they have to dispel the Edo Tensei Jutsu, and if they kill the user of the jutsu and the jutsu is still activated, then the zombies are just gonna be there forever until everybody gets sealed. So yeah, no Amaterasu because Kabuto can die, but I mean, you could have used Amaterasu to press him a little bit more, I guess. Give me something! I mean, the dark flames of Amaterasu is the coolest looking thing in the Naruto series, and one of the coolest things in fiction in general.
Yep.
Black flames, like, it's such a cool concept, and the way Kishimoto draws them is so interesting. It's also very well thematically sound, and yet, we barely see them. They're so cool and we don't see them enough. And it's not like
maybe that's like one thing that makes it cool is that we don't see it too often. Because I'm sure in an alternate universe where we see Amaterasu so often, we'd probably get sick and tired of it, like everything else. Like the Rasengan and the Rasengan Shuriken and all other variations are so lame to me because that's all Naruto ever fucking does. So just picture that.
Because when Kirin appears, for example, it's this magnificent scene and it feels absolutely powerful. When the dark flames of Amaterasu and Inferno Control appear with EMS Sasuke, it just feels like, oh, it's just a jutsu there, it's not very powerful, it's something Sasuke is using, but that's fine. After the Kabuto fight, Sasuke uses his Inferno-style sword to fight against the many Ten Tails clones, and then the Inferno-style arrow that he fuses with Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. I mentioned those jutsus before, and those are fine. I like those usages. In the Jubito fight, Sasuke uses a regular Amaterasu that Jubito blocks with his staff, as I mentioned, and he also fuses Amaterasu with Naruto's Wind-style Rasen Shuriken. Again, not a big one this time, but they go up close. And the way Minato and Tobirama sync their flying Raijin so that Naruto and Sasuke can hit them with their combo jutsu is a really great panel. But unfortunately for them, Obito at that point had become immune to regular ninjutsu, so, I mean, it just didn't do anything. Which is another thing, right? EMS Sasuke is obviously going to fight against extremely powerful opponents. We see how Sasuke would deal with fodder ninjas in the White Zetsus using his Amaterasu and his Susanoo and his EMS and everything. But obviously, most of the time, he wouldn't even have to bother using those abilities against people, or quote-unquote people, because White Zetsu are not people. He would just use his sword, maybe a Chidori here and there, but he wouldn't have to use his Amaterasu. And yeah, when it comes to Jubito blocking his Amaterasu attempts, I'm fine with the Truth-Seeking Arms blocking them.
All right, bro, I'm getting bored.
Fine with
I'm tired,
Obito
man. I had a long day at work. That's it for this video, man. Shout out Daigonite. Thank you for, entertaining me for with Sasuke's Mangekyou Sharingan, man. Appreciate it, bro. But that's it for me. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man. So y'all don't miss out. And I'll see y'all.